Ohio State coming off a national championship, they got a lot of new pieces. On the roster for sure, but the coordinator specifically is what I think is the big question for them when it comes to trying to repeat in 2025. Of course, Julian Sain's a big part of that. I understand that. Or whoever plays quarterback's a big part of that. But let's take a second here to unpack if Ohio State's coordinators can uphold the standard in 2025 and win a national championship. Before we do that, make sure you're subscribed. Again, college football, nothing but college football year-round. Want y'all dialed in. Appreciate y'all in advance for being subscribed. Ohio State fans, if you want more Buckeye content, let us know. The comment section, sure, but the best way to let us know is by subscribing. So we appreciate y'all in advance for doing that. Okay, Brian Hartline gets a well-deserved promotion. He's going to be your play caller here. Brian Hartline, has just made a living pretty much putting Ohio State receivers in the first round, it feels like every single year. With him being the OC now, it's important to remember the pieces he's working with are very different than what Chip Kelly was working with. Okay, as Chip Kelly walks in, and you got Will Howard, who's played a lot of college football. You had Emeka Ibuka. You had Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, true freshman, but still, that's some pretty good raw ingredients. You had Quinshon Judkins, who was all-everything back in the SEC. Trevion Henderson. You see what I'm saying? There was a lot of, we know what they are on the roster. There's a lot of, I think we know what we are on the roster. There's a lot of, they're really talented, but you still have to, I think, make it go together. So my point in all this is Brian Hartline's job, I think, in a lot of ways, is going to be more difficult than Chip Kelly's job was a year ago. The biggest part of that is going to be elevating a first-year starting quarterback. Because while Will Howard was a first-year starting quarterback in Columbus, he had played a lot of college football. Like Julian Sain's never been the guy before. Lincoln Kingholt's never been the guy before. And so my thought around that is, can you make your quarterback comfortable if you're Brian Hartline? And in the process of making them comfortable, what does that look like? Like schematically, what does that look like? Because a comfortable quarterback is an efficient offense. Does comfortable for Julian Sain, who I'm assuming is going to start, does that look like we're going to start the game in a lot of tempo and try to get the ball out of his hands quick? Does that look like we're going to run the football early on and let James Peoples run the ball and then C.J. Donaldson get a little bit of a dose and then eventually we'll ease Julian Sain into the game? How does that look? Is it pass first? Is it run first? Because at the end of the day, the game plan, I think, in the third quarter in virtually every game for Ohio State, depending on the score, will be pretty much the same. Like the bullet points for Ohio State going into every single game should be relatively the same. Get the ball to Jeremiah Smith, dude. Get the ball to that Avenger number 4. Yes, Brandon Ennis, got to eat, of course. Yes, Carnell Tate, get him his. Max Clare, get him the football. But at the end of the day, Jeremiah Smith should have a say in every single football game for Ohio State. The way that he has a say is by having Julian Sain get him the rock consistently. So how creative are you in getting number 4 the football also is something I'm watching here for Brian Hartline. Now, it should also be noted, Tyler Bowen is the new offensive line coach in Columbus. The run game last year was very bread and butterish for Chip Kelly in the sense that you were giving Will Howard a lot of options. I think you had a lot of creativity in the run game. You had 2 running backs that different players, sure, but I think did a lot of the same things for you. C.J. Donaldson and James Peoples are different backs. How do you set the table with the run game? That's something I'm watching for here. So still have to run the football because it's the Big Ten. You got to have a ground game. That's just pretty straightforward way to put it. On top of that, you're supporting a first-year starting quarterback, whether it's Julian Sain or Lincoln Kingholtz. So all that's to say now, the run game has to be present. How does it look, Tyler Bowen? How do you marry that Brian Hartline with the rest of what you want to do? Here's my feel on this. I think it'll be pass first-ish, if that makes sense. I think you're going to lean on the strength of your offense, which is going to be your receiving core, which I think will be the arm talent of your quarterback. So Julian Sain, I think he's going to win the job. How they get him comfortable is, I think, going to be on Brian Hartline. If Julian Sain is hooping early on, give Brian Hartline a lot of credit because the way they script it, the way they call it, will be catering to his skill set and catering to getting him comfortable early on in the season. Now, on the other side of the football, it's almost the inverse of what I just mentioned to you. We want to see a lot of what the Ohio State offense looks like with some talent that's unproven is the wrong way to say it, but newer on that side of the football. On the defensive side, I have far less questions about the actual personnel. Sure, you lose Tui Maloau. Sure, you lose Jack Sawyer. Caleb Downs is back in the fold, dude. Sonny Styles back in the fold. Igbenogson, Jermaine Matthews, we keep going down the line here. They got some ballers on that side of the football where I don't question what they bring to the table every single Saturday. I know they got dudes. So Matt Patricia, My question is, as the new DC in Columbus, can you generate the pass rush that made you a juggernaut in the college football playoff? Because that was kind of when Ohio State reached their Final Four and kind of got to the full level of their powers, right? Is when you were able to cut loose that front seven and they went and ate greedy, and then Caleb Downs got his, and then the secondary pretty much did whatever they wanted. So I think for Patricia, a lot of what they do defensively, while it might look a little bit different from what Jim Knowles did, I think that same level of aggression has got to be there. I think it'll be a point for them to be there. I think you kind of turn the front seven a little bit more loose and just trust your guys on the back end, because to be real now, they call it BIA, Best in America. It should be Best in America again if you're Ohio State. I don't see a reason why it can't be. Yeah, sure, you lose a couple of guys to the draft, but like the names I just mentioned, from Caleb Downs to Igbinosun, you should still be good enough. And so when we talk about the coordinators at Ohio State, I want to be very clear in this discussion. It's not a thing of, can you get back to the playoff? That's not the question. The question is, are you good enough in that 15% range to push us into the place where we're national champions again? Because the talent is good enough to jog backwards from the college football playoff. Full stop. Like, regardless of the quarterback, regardless of, whoever you have calling it, you're good enough to go make the playoff again. My question is, can you do what Chip Kelly did in the semifinals? Have a little curveball up your sleeve, Emeka Ibuka, a little sleight of hand action for him on whatever down it was to get a first down. Will Howard in the run game to get a quick first down. Like, things of that nature that make the difference in those big spots where you play a similar talent level roster. So all in all, if Ohio State can do that, they will repeat again. It sounds a little bit intense to say at this point in May, but they will have every chance to do that based on what those coordinators have behind them on that roster. So Ryan Day, baby, this is the chance now to adapt. This is your chance to do what all great coaches do. Not good coaches, not win a national championship one-time coaches, coaches that are great, that we talk about as being the best in the sport over the course of a 5 to 10-year span. They adapt to new personnel. They adapt to a new staff. So that's the task for Ryan Day. I can't wait to see how he does, man. Cannot wait to see how he does.